Hi, I'm Gia Mills, and I have been a celebrity makeup artist for the past 20 years. I'm also the founder of sweat-friendly skincare brand and makeup brand Skin in Motion, and I am fascinated about what beauty really means. In True Reflections, you get to peek behind the curtain and find out what your favourite stars feel about their appearance. We explore what beauty and attractiveness really means to them, revealing the deep truths that often go unnoticed. So who is joining me today? My guest tells you, you are what you wear. She asks if her bum looks big at 40 and inspires us with her chic, versatile wardrobe. She is the fashion stylist of the stars. It's influencer and host of Been There, Done There, Got the Podcast, Kat Farmer.
Hello.
Hello, Kat, thank you so much for coming in. I've been very excited to see you. You and I met about 34 years ago. And I've seen you very briefly since then, but 34 years ago is when you and I first met.
I know. I can't believe it's that long. I don't think I'm even 34. Obviously I am. I'm 52 now. But we met at university when I was at university.
You were at university with my brother, and the lasting memory I have of you, and then when I saw you online, I was so excited, literally, because my brother texted me and said, do you know that's Kat, my friend from university? And I was like, no, I love her. And all I remember, my lasting memory, my brother used to like to go hiking and walking in the Dales, and you guys were at Leeds Uni. And all I know is seeing this glamorous woman aged about 21 or something, and go, I'm not going hiking with my brother unless I can wear my heels. And I think that was a lovely sort of starting point to get to know you, and then cut to now. It was just amazing.
Yeah, no, he never ever got us to go hiking. What we used to say to him is, Eb, we'll meet you in the pub, but I am not going walking in the Dale. That's never, ever, ever been my thing, no. And I'm proud to say it, I don't mind. I don't really like walking in the country.
No, well, I think that's absolutely fine. And also the shoes is not a good look. It's not a pretty look. I live in the countryside now and I wear wellies, and it makes me really short because I like to wear heels, and it just doesn't work. But I just had this lovely vision of you back then, and thinking, because I was younger, going, wow, she's cool. She knows herself, to go, no, I'm not doing that. And if I can't wear my heels, I'm not coming. And I loved what you stood for then. And I often used to think about that and not know really who you were that well, because I didn't know you particularly brilliantly from uni. And then all of a sudden, there you are, sort of living the dream of being this wonderful stylist, being out there. And I think you've been a wonderful tonic to so many people in just feeling human and connected and normal about fashion, about beauty, about all different stages, as one matures.
Well, I think the reason I started doing what I'm doing was because it's called Does My Bum Look 40, my brand. And I started it because I was only 38 at the time, 37 actually. And my youngest had just gone to nursery, so he was 2. And I just remember thinking, well, I don't have to wear sweatpants anymore. I don't have to, I don't have to be covered in vomit. I'd have to be covered in banana. What do I wear? And I think back then, sort of at the age of 40, women were very, very much sidelined. There wasn't anything specifically aimed at us. It was this sort of this dearth of nothingness, whereas it was either H&M, Topshop, Zara, Mango, all those existed. And then it was sort of Viella, Winsmore, all those sort of much older brands, Jacques Vert, for God's sake. I mean, who knew?
All those
I know.
the granny brands. And when you hit 40, you suddenly had to be a granny. But tell me, when you were younger, I love knowing what people were into makeup-wise, what they considered to be beauty, what was their inspiration when they were younger. So when you were young, when you were at school, when you were growing up, what did makeup look like? What did beauty look like to you?
To me, I was a child of the 70s. So I was born in 73, and I was obsessed with the Charlie's Angels, the Farrah Fawcett. It was all about the big hair. And then it became Brooke Shields and Cindy Crawford. It was all about for me, it's about the hair. But beauty was always a natural look. I never ever aspired to wearing lots and lots of makeup.
It wasn't a thing. We didn't have social media, and we were like, I might have the lipstick or trial it out. But I don't think there was, because I was born in 74, and I don't think it was pushed at us in the way that it is now to the younger generation.
Well, I think what we had, I do talk about this a lot actually. The only place you could sort of really buy makeup, I don't really remember going into Boots and buying makeup, was on the market.
Oh, really?
We used to go like Constance Carroll.
What's Constance
Do you remember? Oh, God, your toothbrush. Constant Carol. It was called Heather Shimmer.
Okay.
And it was a frosted pink lip. And I also remember, I mean, I did used to go skiing, and I remember loving going skiing because you used to wear the white. Yeah. And that was sort of like a skiing version of Heather Shimmer.
Glamorous.
It was
And the zinc on, I had pink zinc and yellow zinc, and the stripes on the face. It was the epitome of glamour.
It was. It absolutely was. But it was never really about lots of colour. It was all about being slightly shiny.
Yeah.
And I think it was about being sort of glowy. And yeah, we did have the blue eyeliner, obviously, which I never really got into. But it was also about the tan.
Tell me about your tans. I want to know about your tans.
I have sort of had nothing but tanning disasters my entire life because actually, historically, I'm alabaster white. I'm Irish. So I'm Irish. I've got green eyes, really dark hair, and white skin. And I remember, I remember my favourite product years and years ago. At the age of sort of 16, 17, 18, I remember going interrailing at 17 and taking, it was by Revlon, and it was Factor 6.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
But it had a fake tan in it.
Oh, that was very avant-garde back in the day.
I don't think anyone actually still does that. And I've always thought, why don't they have a factor that's got a tanning element in it? A fake tan and a Factor 30 all in one.
Because you'd have to keep reapplying it. And then if you're sweating and reapplying, it might be a bit streaky. But I think in our teens, we didn't really mind being streaky. We didn't really know that it was a thing. And you go, oh, and just sort of like style it out anyway.
Well, you did. And it was, I mean, it wasn't as streaky as I remember, actually. What it did do, though, I do remember that it used to, oh, gosh. Because also, I used to shave my legs, as we all did back then. Actually, I still do. I'm so low maintenance when it comes to anything beauty. In reality,
do what feels comfy.
Yeah, the fake tan used to collect in the pores. So you.
Oh yes. Yes, so that's a good look. So you look like you've got some weird skin disease.
I look like a reverse strawberry.
You could never look like a reverse strawberry.
My legs did. They were sort of very red with like white spots.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we were to sort of go to track back, Kat would look like a reverse strawberry.
Actually, they were sort of white with red spots, with black spots.
Frosted lips.
Frosted lips.
And slightly patchy tan.
Patchy tan and big hair.
Well, you've got incredible hair. And that is literally your sort of calling card because it is just so beautiful and big and powerful. And I love how you've had that. And have you always embraced your hair and just used that as your sort of like, hello world?
I think I did. I do remember being younger, and I think anybody sort of my age, when they were younger, will say, who did have thick hair, will say that it was a real curse. We used to go and try and have it thinned. And also because my hair is Irish and it's very coarse, it's very wiry, there weren't products back then that would make it all sleek and glossy like there are now.
Yeah.
There was a hairdryer and a rubbish hairbrush.
And a really rubbish hair, like products. You'd like the hairspray made your hair feel crispy.
Yes, and my other favourite hair product that we used to have, because obviously I had a perm. I mean, who?
Totally. I wasn't allowed a perm. I was desperate. It was good. Did you love it when you had it done?
I loved my perms. Yeah, I mean, a miracle I actually have hair. With that and sun-in.
Oh my God, sun-in. Oh, did it go green?
Well, it went orange. But then I thought, no.
Did it got caught for hair and it's dark?
Because it strips the hair, so it doesn't go blonde. It's so dark, it goes orange. But then I do remember a girl at school saying, no, don't use sun-in. What you want to use to create your own highlights. I can't believe I used to do this. We used to use Jolene.
Oh yes, I did that. At the front, the 2 bits at the front, the 90s. You looked like a girl band.
Yeah, but it was bleach.
Yes, moustache.
This was the 80s. So
I did it in the 90s as well, at university.
I did used to go and pay to have my hair done in the 90s. I got with that programme very quickly. Okay. Yes, I got with that programme very, very quickly. The very failed Rachel cut, we don't go there. And I did have colour as well.
Yeah.
But I do remember, the bleach, and I used to sit in the sun with tin foil on. And it's a miracle I have hair.
The Jolin, I'd completely forgotten about that. My friend Laura and I used to sit at university and literally buy the Jolin. Actually, no, then we didn't have enough money as students, so we'd downgrade to like a Boots version of Jolin, and then we'd literally do our front hand, seeing the photographs. It's just hilarious, but it was such of a time.
Yeah.
And I remember being in Nepal, hiking, talking to my boyfriend at the time, saying, I really want to lighten my hair at the front. I wish I could find some Jolin. And literally, in this village in the middle of nowhere, they had, I could buy some Jolin. Can you believe it? And I was like, oh my God, my prayers have all been answered.
I still remember the pot. It was like that bluey greeny pot with a white.
Everything fell. You could never mix it. Why do they not have a normal pot? It was like a flat thing. I don't think girls now realise how lucky they are. Literally the variety of stuff that you have, and it's well designed, and it's better for your skin, and it's not going to do terrible things.
Yeah.
We didn't have any of that.
And the foundations back then as well. I mean, God forbid that your neck should match your... No chance of that. And it was either 3 shades, light, medium, dark.
But not very dark. I mean, it was.
No.
I just think it was so. What were they thinking? And having a cosmetics brand now, I know what you have to think through, and how they were just like, didn't think that was a thing, to sort of broaden the skin tones, to have, really well thought out products. It was just so like binary and basic.
And it was orange. Everything had a real orange tint to it. And I think they thought that everybody does want to have a little bit of colour, a bit of a tan. So what we'll do, we won't do a tanning product. Oh no, we'll just make our foundation orange. And it was like emulsion.
Yeah, it was so thick.
I mean, your skin couldn't breathe. It was like wearing a mask.
Yeah, no, I did. No, but the worst bit was when you got spots.
Oh, gosh.
And I remember boys at school trying to borrow my concealers and stuff, and then seeing them the next day with you'd literally see this like round circle of concealer that didn't match their skin, and they thought that looked better than actually a spot, which I don't know, neither of them looked good. But it was just the spot creams, the Oxytens, and the things that you used to literally annihilate and dry your skin out with.
And then you used to put your really chalky, because they were like bullets of chalk.
The Rimmel ones, do you remember, really hard?
Yeah, orange chalk that you then used to apply on dry skin, and it was just like this flaky mess. It was like Milk Boy on your face.
Gosh, I feel sick just thinking about it. But yeah, and I remember boys also borrowing my fake tan and getting it all between their fingers.
Oh, I still do that.
I don't know what I was going to say. I still do that. I tan people, but I still do that on myself. I think there's something different when you do people's makeup and then you do yourself. I'm really happy when someone else looks good and I've made them look nice, and I forget. Then I think it's me that's not actually. I'm like projecting what I look like on them, and I just then look in the mirror and go, oh, on myself. But it is, I think we're okay to make mistakes about beauty.
Well, I decided many years ago, and I think it is very much sort of part of how I live and my makeup, in that perfection is so overrated. So overrated. So I don't really wear foundation apart from if I'm going somewhere very, very special. I think foundations now, the term foundation is it's almost dissipated into so many other different products that do a very similar job, but are so much lighter and are full of skincare products that don't feel like a full-on foundation.
So what do you wear? What is your favourite go-to to get, if you're having a bit of coverage and you're going to be, in the public eye, what's your kind of go-to product?
Currently, my absolute favourite product is the Eborian, the CC water cream.
Okay, tell me
So
why.
the CC water cream it's a lighter version of a CC cream, and it has tiny bubbles of colour that burst. Yeah, so it looks sort of grainy when you put it on, and I always apply with a brush.
Yeah.
I mean, I never wash them, obviously.
No, never wash the brush.
Brushing.
Bacteria's it's their little home. Why ruin their little house of bacteria all on your brush? Just keep it all gorgeous. I think it's right. It's your own bacteria. It's lovely fine.
Exactly. Welcome back to the family. And that I love, because it is completely and utterly foolproof.
Okay.
It just sort of blends everything out. But again, I don't want to look completely and utterly pristine, which I think is one of the reasons why I don't have a problem, but I don't really understand. I do understand, and I sort of feel for the younger generations that have this idea of perfection is the acme of how they want to look and how they want other people to perceive them. And I just think For me, it's a psychological, you're just almost setting yourself up for a fail. I also do think, this is a very terrible thing to admit, I might want to cut. If I do meet somebody with immaculate makeup, I automatically know the chances of us getting on are probably not very high.
Goodness. Well, I think we're going to get on, because even though I'm a makeup artist, I am not perfect on my makeup at all. And I don't actually, and likewise with you, I don't want to be. And I feel hugely pressured to look perfect because I'm a makeup artist, like a hairstylist. You have to look perfect because you do hair. It's like, no. And actually, I think people feel more comfortable and more warm. I think when someone is too perfect, you don't feel human. When we show our failings, we feel more connected to someone, because you can't live up to that standard of someone else looking absolutely flawless. It makes you less connected.
Well, I think the thing about beauty as well is that one of the things that I do feel that it's a mask. And I think if somebody has too heavy a mask, it means they're trying to hide more.
Yeah.
I think that's where my psychology comes from.
Yeah.
I think if you want to be that perfect, if that is your portrayal of this is how I am, I just think it's hiding a lot.
I think it is. It's funny because possibly when you're younger, you might want to wear more because you're hiding more. And as you get older and you're potentially more comfortable in your skin, that's when you feel that you don't need to wear as much. And actually, when older women, I don't like to put too much makeup on because it does make you look older.
Yeah.
And I think that there's an interesting journey that we go on as women. From when you're young, you think you need to wear makeup, when you really don't need to wear makeup. And as you get older, you wear less, but not that you need to wear more, but actually it has more of an effect on sort of balancing out, sort of blurring, any slight imperfections you might have.
I also think that there are so many different forms of makeup that people can wear to display a personality. Lipstick, I think, is a prime example. So people will love a red lipstick. And, I've had lipstick put on me over the years. I've been very, very privileged to have many, many people do my makeup. And they'll put the lipstick on and it's lipstick, what colour? Do red? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel like me. And although people say, oh, it really suits you, it might suit me, but I look in the mirror and I don't recognise the person looking back at me, and I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
I don't want to hide. And not that red lipstick is an indication of someone hiding something, but if I do it, it just doesn't feel like me. It doesn't represent who I want to be. Same with my eye makeup. I always wear the same shades of eye makeup. I must have 20 eye makeup pencils.
Browns, your smudgy, browny kind of shades. But it kind of suits you. And I think as you get older, you know what suits you, you know what feels comfortable. And you can sort of explore a little bit, but then you just go, well, it actually doesn't work for me. I now know. So telling your younger self about beauty, would there be anything you'd now like to kind of, now what you know, kind of sit down with her and say, right, here's what I think you should be doing, like wear more SPF, for example, or just be a bit more careful with your tan? Is there anything you'd sort of say to that person?
I think I would like to go back and tell my university self that maybe not taking your makeup off for the best part of 4 years wasn't the best idea.
Talk us through your university not taking makeup off makeup trend.
I have always been sort of club level eyes, so I've always done, I always do a lot of eyeliner and mascara, and that's sort of been my go-to forever. And I genuinely do not recall taking it off, ever.
But you didn't own an eye makeup removal?
Oh,
Brilliant.
Not until I started working and I was straight into Clarins. I do remember using the Clinique at one point. I do remember having the dramatically different moisture lotion, which I love. That was my go-to at university. But I think I just used to wash my face.
Okay, with like soap or any sort of...
I don't think so, no. I think whatever was to hand.
It's not like now with the young girls where they all love going to Space NK and poor parents spending an absolute fortune. And they all want their drunk elephants and their really snazzy stuff, when actually they don't really need it. It's keeping it really simple. And I think we just didn't have all this amazing stuff. No. It was either you go to the Clinique counter and your mother sat you down and went, right, these are the sort of the 3 steps you do, like cleanse, tone, moisturise, and you had about 3 different types of skin types, and that was it. Whereas I think now it's a lot more complex what they've got on offer, which is a good and a bad thing.
I do remember the Clarins. I mean, I do remember starting with the Clarins, and they were the green, the toner, and the makeup remover. But the makeup remover was a cream makeup remover. So I used to use I'm just remembering this now. It's
Oh,
actually
no.
mortifying. I used to use cotton wool pads, which of course we all use in abundance over the years, the poor ocean. And I used to take my makeup off, but I never washed my face. I thought that was okay. I basically just smear my makeup around my face. Some of it came off on the cloth, on the pad, and then I tone. And so the toner would basically be the second makeup removal step.
But we just didn't know, and the knowledge. And I thank social media for that, for giving the knowledge. But I don't thank it for how it pressurizes girls into having this look of perfection. And I think it's sort of, that I worry about social media and girls, but I have no idea how to navigate it. And I think it's just about us teaching the girls to feel good in their own skin and what attractiveness feels like. One of the questions I really want to know for you, and I think it's a lot of people at the moment are going through, a lot of, relationships can be challenging. And I know you've been very vocal and open about your sort of separation, divorce. And I think there's something really interesting in how, when you come out of a divorce, how you then approach how you look. How did you find when you you no longer the identity of a sort of wife, to suddenly, what was your beauty? How did you approach, how did you feel did you feel you needed to do anything different?
I think it's very interesting in that when you leave a long-term relationship, and I think it is a real psychological thing, if you've made that decision to go and you've made that decision to put your head above the parapet, because it really is putting your head above the parapet with regards to your relationship with your family and also your friends and your peers. And then, of course, what I do on social media is talking to, 500,000 women of a similar age and a similar demographic who look at you and go, what have you done? And I think having the confidence to do that and say, no, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm sticking to, very much gave me a similar, now that I think about it, confidence in actually, no, do you know what? This is how I want to look. I will wear the same shade of eyeshadow every single day. And I don't even wear an eyeshadow anymore, really. I'm obsessed with pencils. This is what I'm going to do. I will have a tan. I will have my hair like this. I will wear these clothes. I won't do the variety of things I used to. I won't necessarily try new things because actually I've realised this is what I'm really happy doing.
And it's not, you're not doing it for somebody else. You're not getting dressed up to go, will he like me if I do this? This is what I'm supposed to look like.
I never did that anyway.
Okay.
I think the thing that I did do is my ex-husband was never keen on tattoos. And so out of respect, I had one when I met him. The first thing I did do was get another tattoo.
Oh, what was it?
It's here. It's here, it's there.
Oh, look. Is that the
Yeah,
date?
that's the year that I left.
Wow, that's your sort of...
23. Well, actually, I left in 22, but I couldn't tell the children until 23.
Oh, yes, because you had to wait till they'd finished exams and stuff. But that liberation of the tattoo, and it's a symbolic, I think we all feel that as women hitting a certain age, that you just want to kind of I just want to be me. And when you actually stand up and go, I'm just going to be me, how you look, how you dress, the things you do, it's like, it feels incredible.
I also think it is not a reflection. You're suddenly not a reflection of somebody else, or they're not a reflection of you. So you don't have to think, if I do that, how is this going to reflect on them? Because I think in any relationship, if there is that element of, what's the word I'm looking for? Of respect for how somebody else feels and how somebody else thinks. If I do something, it's going to reflect on them. When you haven't got that other person to have that sort of respect for, or you haven't got anybody else that you need to actually really think about, you think, I could do whatever I want.
That's really liberating.
It's really liberating. And I know some people find it really scary, but I didn't. I didn't give myself a chance to. With hindsight, I do look back 2.5 years ago and think, what was I doing?
Yeah.
But at the time, I needed to just move forward. And yeah, I just think that I am going to wear the fake tan. I am going to have the tattoo. I am going to have my hair down and long. And I'm going to have it however I want to have it.
Yeah. And are there any, what were the sort of key products? Like, could there have been like, because you probably have a few meltdown moments, it's like you need your waterproof mascara, or is it, is it sort of more makeup, or it's just actually, or it's less because you just think I don't need to do it so much?
Do you know what the interesting thing is, actually? The one thing that I consciously now realise that I didn't do is I would quite often pre-divorce, sort of in COVID and actually in sort of the 10 years before that, I would very much be very happy to sit there with no makeup on and just chat online on camera. Whereas afterwards, I think there was very much, certainly for a couple of years, that armor that said, I need to say that I'm okay. And I think the way you do that for me was by looking what I considered to be okay. And for me, that is definitely wearing makeup.
Yeah, and it's feeling confident and feeling, I think because you're sort of more exposed, you haven't got that sort of buffer in a relationship, which I think a relationship can make you feel like you've got that sort of protection. And suddenly you're like, I've got to be fully ready for the world all the time. And you feel, and I guess you feel judged a bit as well, and a bit more vulnerable, and makeup helps you feel less vulnerable.
It's completely that. And I think because lots of people have said, you did put your head above the parapet and you're not a poster child, I'd never say that. But, there aren't very many women that leave their marriage or walk away from a home. And so I think always being okay with that was something that I did feel that I had to live up to. I didn't want people to say, who followed the journey, to be able to turn around and say, oh gosh, look, it's all not going very well for her, I'm not going to do that. Because it wasn't that. Everybody has down days. It's like down days. Everybody has days where they look like a bag of spanners. Really, really do. But I think people would then, I didn't want people to look at me looking rough, in inverted commas, because I will say without makeup, I do look rough. And I don't care what anybody says. I look not the best without makeup.
You don't look how you'd like to look.
That's exactly it. I don't look in the mirror and think she's a confident, sassy woman. I look like I need a lot of sleep and a lot of makeup and some sun and a rest.
Yeah.
So I think makeup can do that for you. So I didn't want people to look and think, okay, this woman has said, that she's on a mission to be amazing and that life's brilliant. Wow. How's that panning out for her? Because it's not saying that in her face. So I think I was very conscious of always pitching up.
And I think makeup can do that for you because it can literally be your sort of painting on. It's literally creams. And I find it the most extraordinary thing when you put creams on somebody's face as a woman, how it changes them and what it symbolises. And it is phenomenal. And I think it's beautiful that it can be something that's easily accessible, that can make you feel better when life is really, really rubbish. When you look in the mirror and all you want to do is climb back into the duvet, sort of just hide from the world. But it allows you to kind of have that confidence. And I kind of, men don't have that option as much as we do in that sense.
I think, interestingly though, what I'm finding the older I get, there is an army of women who are very much in the camp of, you don't need all this. You should be confident without it. What is that saying to the younger generation if you feel that you need to wear makeup to be confident?
Yeah.
And I've got to the point of, without swearing, saying, I don't care. If that's what you want to do, that's fine.
Yeah.
But actually, I have got to the point where I'm so confident in saying, I'm not saying to anybody else, this is what you should do, but this is what I'm doing. And I'm really happy with that. I'm happy with that decision. I'm happy with the fact that I have, I have fillers, I have Botox. It's not to make me look younger. It's to stop me from being able to tuck my jowls into my bra.
Yeah.
And again, people will say, well, it's about, it's you want to look younger, you want to look how you used to look. No, I want to look well.
Yes.
And I want to look happy and I want to look healthy. And unfortunately for me, if everything is heading south and it's the sagginess that for me is the main issue, you look tired. And I don't want to look tired because I'm not tired.
And I think if it is a very personal thing, that if it makes you feel good, and it can be anything that you do to your face, and if that's your choice, then I think if it makes you feel good, that is your choice. And I think when you come out of a long-term relationship, realising you have that power in you and you don't need to listen to anybody. That is a beautiful feeling. And it's not like you want to hurt, you're not hurting anybody doing this. You're not making anyone's life difficult. You're feeling good, and it's hugely powerful.
I also say that I'm not putting anything back that wasn't there.
Yeah.
I'm not changing the way I look. I'm just trying to look in the mirror and see the person, recognize and like the person who looks back at me. I also think, coming again from a psychological aspect, I think that if you look in the mirror and you see someone looking older, there is the fear, I've only got so long left. Yeah. I really do genuinely think that the reason that we want to look younger is not necessarily because it's better. I don't give a monkeys about the wrinkles. I really don't care about the wrinkles at all. It's just about that sagginess and about the luminosity. And I think that if that equates to being younger, well, then so be it. Because I think when you look in the mirror and you see an old person looking back at you mentally, that's really challenging, because there is, at the back of your head, I genuinely think there is always this person saying, you've not got long left.
Yeah.
Old people die, full stop, end of.
Yeah. So it's the fear, it's kind of more than the fear of like dying, not dying, but it's more the fear of the demise of life, rather than what the wrinkle actually is, and that it doesn't make me look young or old. And I totally agree, because I think when you do hit a certain age, when you're young, you feel like you're going to be young forever, and then it's like, I'm never going to get old, and it's like, ooh, Robert, oh, you know. And I think it's embracing. There are two camps. There are those that go, I'm just going to go totally natural, and let the wrinkles go and let it all happen. And I'm like, go for it.
Absolutely.
But I think, and also the other side of people who want to put stuff in. But I think it's what I love about people is their energy inside that comes out, and that beauty as you get older. And whichever you're choosing, be comfortable, embrace, feel the energy, sparkly eyes, fresh skin. It doesn't matter how you're going about that, and that's the feeling as you get older. But it's sort of choose your lane and embrace it and go for it.
I do find it fascinating, though, that you can, as you say, divide it down into two camps, and there is sort of the middle ground as well. But generally, the people that will shout loudest and criticize others are the ones who want to do the natural route.
Yeah.
They're the ones that will say to the likes of us who are, that's fine, you go and do that. You off you go. If you want to have grey hair, I'm not going to say anything, but that's your choice. You roll with that. Yeah. Whereas because I choose to dye my hair, is, well, why do you do that? You should let it. You should have it natural. I don't want to do that. I'm not telling you what to do, so please don't tell me what to do. And I think the only criticism ever comes from one camp looking down.
Yeah. No,
it never comes from the other aspect.
No, and I think the word should be eradicated from, it's like you just do what feels good, rather than you should be doing this at that age, or you should be doing this because you're a woman, or you should be doing. There's no should. It's just what feels right. And I love how you explain to people about bringing some energy to people about whether it's clothes, whether it's beauty.
I think the main thing, for me, is for people to be confident in how they feel and in what they do, be it their skin, be it their hair, be it their makeup, be it their clothing. And I think the reason that I've been successful in what I do is because, yes, I'm an expert in fashion, but when it comes to skincare and beauty, I'm in no way, shape or form an expert. In no way, shape or form an expert. But what I am is the average woman. So I will look at products that I get sent, I will work with brands, I will look at makeup, and I use the products in the way that the average person does. So for example, on the back of what it says about the ingredients, when I work with skincare brands.
Oh, well, you can't see it. Anyway, you need a magnifying glass, or you need to take a photograph and then zoom in. I can't read this. Anyway, sorry.
But when they say, you must tell them that these are the ingredients, blah, 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 and it's this magic thing that does blah, 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 blah. And I will go back to the client and say, I appreciate that. The skincare experts, the beauty experts can do that because they understand what they're talking about, and their audience, who is an engaged, bespoke beauty follower, will also understand. The average woman has no idea. And this is where they get a little bit shirty or a little bit bereft, doesn't care. What does it do? That's what we want to know. Does it work? What else can I use it with? How much does it cost? How often do I have to use it? That's what they want to know.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. I say, I will work with your product. If I like the product, I will never, ever, ever work with a product that I've used and think, oh, that's not for me.
But that's about authenticity. And I think when you're authentic and real, it comes across. And anyone that watches any socials and anything, you can feel it when someone's real. And you can tell when it's something that they don't really use. But when they really naturally do it, that is a whole different ballgame. With Skin and Motion, we only want people who've actually naturally found the brand and go, well, we really like this. And then I'll do a post or do something already. And then we approach them and say, actually, can you talk about it? Because otherwise it's disingenuous. And I think that's what the beauty of you is this real, gorgeous person who's not perfect all the time, who gives their humanity. And I just say thank you, Kat, for just being you and sharing, first of all today, just being real and telling me all your funny things about not taking makeup off at university, not owning, makeup remover, and just your honesty about, coming out of a relationship. And so thank you very, very much for joining me today. A massive thank you to Kat Farmer. You can follow her on Does My Bum Look 40? Her bum does not look 40. She looks amazing. And I highly recommend you follow her. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe where you're watching or listening. And you can find me across your social media by searching True Reflections Podcast. Or you can find out more about skinandmotion.com at skin.in.motion. Right. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe where you're watching or listening, and you can find me across your social media by searching at True Reflections Podcast. You can also find me on at skinandmotion.com. You can also find me on skin.in.motion. I'll be back next week with another celebrity to talk through their beauty experiences, their favourite products, and delving deeper into how the ideals of beauty shapes not just our physical appearance, but also the core of our identities. Until then, have a lovely week.